Yo, book nerds, check out my new Lord of the Rings shirt that I got. It says, "Not all who wander are lost." I saw this on Amazon and I had to buy it because I realized as a book nerd and a future English teacher that I do not have enough t-shirts with literary quotes on them. So I had to fix that. Like, really, I had to. I had to be a nerd and I had to get it. So isn't it awesome? I love it. It's so great. Anyway, buying this shirt kind of triggered a series of events in my head. So I'm going to tell you about it. So when I bought this shirt, at kind of the same time, I had like an epiphany or a realization that this spring semester I will be doing my student teaching, and potentially next fall I could have my own English classroom. Like, hopefully I will be able to get a job right away and I will be hired on and have my own English class in a year, which is crazy to think about. Like, grad school has gone so fast. But in thinking of all that, it made me think about how there are many books on my physical TBR that are commonly taught in English classes that I have not yet read. I have quite a few books on my read shelves that are taught in English classes commonly, but there are many books that are on my physical TBR that I have not read yet that are commonly taught, at least in the schools where I'm at. These books are commonly taught in English classes, and I haven't read them. So it gave me an idea. I am currently working on my last reading goal of the year, which was to complete a series that I had started and not finished, which I am currently reading the Sisterhood series by Anne Brashares. I am on the third book. Side note, I thought that there was only 5 books in this series, and it turns out there are 6. I have read the first 4. I have not read the last 2. I thought there was only 1 more after number 4. Apparently there's 2 that come after. So I had to order the one that I didn't have, and that will be arriving here any day now. So it'll take me a little bit longer than I initially thought to finish this series, but I'm going to do it. I had to buy this book, even though I know nothing about it, because I need it to complete my series, because, you know, I'm psychotic and, you know, I just buy books because I want to. You guys know this problem. You do. You have the same illness as me. Or maybe you don't, but I needed to have the entire set. So I got way on a tangent there, but anyway, I am working on my last reading goal of 2024, and once I complete this series, I'll be done with all my reading goals. And, you know, like, we're in August, so there's quite a bit of year left. So all this is to say that I had an idea. I am kind of going to add another reading goal for the year. It's not really a goal, it's going to be more of a challenge. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to tell you guys all of the books that are on my physical TBR that are commonly taught in English classes, at least where I'm from. They're commonly taught in English classes, and I have not read these. So I'm going to use the rest of the year to see how many of these I can read. And I'm doing this because potentially, either this spring or next fall or next year, whatever, I might be teaching some of these at some point, and why not try and get a little bit ahead of the game here, because I'm going to have enough work on my plate anyway during student teaching and during my first couple years of actual teaching. Like, I'm going to have enough on my plate. I don't need to be reading new novels and studying new novels for class if I can help it. So yeah, it's basically me trying to preemptively read some books that I might potentially read, but I don't know if I will read with my future students. But we're gonna just do it, because why not? Because it'll be fun. So let's go through these, right? Let's go through them. I have pulled them all off my shelves. I did do a video a while back, which is kind of similar to this video. It's not exactly the same, but a while back I did a video called Books I Feel Like I Should Have Already Read. And so pretty much all of those books are books that are commonly read in English classes. So since I made that video, I have read some of the ones on that list. So I have all the ones that I still have yet to read. I pulled all those, but then I have bought more books, and so I have pulled additional books off my TBR as well. So we'll see where I'm at. So all the books I'm going to go through are commonly taught in English classes where I live. So I'm just really going to run through these pretty quickly here. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about them because I haven't read them, so I don't know a ton about them. But I'm going to start with the books from that other video that I still have not read, and then after that we'll go into the additional books that I have since added to my physical TBR that fit this video. So up first we have A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I have seen so many movie adaptations of this, but I don't believe I ever have read it, so I gotta read it. I can't just rely on the movie adaptations. Then we have Essential Tales and Poems by Edgar Allan Poe. This is an anthology of some of his works. I have read some of his short stories. I've read The Raven and I've read The Fall of the House of Usher, but I haven't read like anything else, at least that I remember. So definitely need to read some more of him. Then I have a duology here. I have Homer's The Iliad and the Odyssey. Sometimes I've heard of English classes reading the Odyssey before ever reading the Iliad, but if I read them, I would read them in order, but I have not read either of them. Then we have Paradise Lost by John Milton. And finally, The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. I know a lot of people only read the Inferno out of this, but if I read it, I will read the whole thing. That would be my plan anyway. Okay, so those are the ones from the other video that I still have not read. And now everything else that I have since added to my physical TBR. So obviously this video is only as current as when I'm recording it, August of 2024. So in the future, I might add more books to my physical TBR that are commonly taught in English classes that I have not read. So this is just as of this moment, because that's the best I can do. But anyway, we have another Charles Dickens story, which is A Tale of Two Cities. Lord of the Flies by William Golding. Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. Isn't this edition gorgeous? It's so pretty. Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I actually know that the high school where I sub at was reading this year. So this one is probably going to be top of my list to read because I really would love to work in that high school someday as an English teacher. So I know this is one that they teach there. So I might get on this one really fast. Similarly, this next book was taught at the middle school where I sub, and also where I did my field experience during spring semester of 2024. So when I was there, the students were reading The Martian by Andy Weir, and this is, I believe, the only modern book that I have on this list. I know that other modern stories are taught in classes, but I really am only familiar with classics. So this would be another one that's top of my list to read since I know it's being taught in my district. So definitely interested in this one. But this book bugs me because look it, I hate when they do this with covers where the cover doesn't fully reach the rest of the pages. Why do some books do that? Why? I hate it so much. But anyway, side note, this next one, I don't know if it's taught in schools. I feel like I've heard of it being taught in schools, but then at the same time, I've heard that this book depicts some questionable scenes, you know, like SA type scenes. I don't know to the extent because I haven't read it. So it makes me believe that it wouldn't be taught in schools, but I also feel like it has been taught in schools. So I'm just adding it to this list because why not? So that is A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess. I have heard crazy things about this and I am intrigued, but also kind of scared to read it because I've heard it's very disturbing. Then we have Slaughterhouse 5 by Kurt Vonnegut. This next one, I don't know if it's taught a whole lot, but I always hear about schools putting on this book as a play. Like I hear about students doing this as a play all the time. So that's why I'm putting it on this list. And that is Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. I love Victor Hugo. I read The Hunchback of Notre Dame and loved it. So I am definitely interested in reading this, but it is huge. It is so huge. So I don't know if I'll get to this one for this challenge or not, but we'll see. Because if I read this, it might be the only one I read. I don't know, it's just so big. Up next, we have Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. This book is commonly taught in English classes. If I read it, I would read this and then the sequel, which is Closing Time, but I have never heard of Closing Time being taught in English classes, so this one wouldn't really be for this challenge, but this one would. Similarly to Catch-22, the last book that I have on this list is All Quiet on the Western Front by Eric Maria Remarque, and this book is commonly taught in schools, and there are two like companion books. I don't know if they're actually like sequels or just companion novels. I've heard it both ways before, so I'm not really sure because I haven't read them. But we have The Road Back and Three Comrades, which either are companions or come after this book. I don't really know. But these two I've never heard of being taught in schools. This one I have. So if I read this, I would probably read these immediately after, but we'll see how it goes. So there you have it. That is quite a few books. I definitely cannot read all of them by the end of the year, but it would be fun just to see how many of them I could get to. I am a mood reader, so I'm not going to guarantee that I'm going to read from this list, but I'm going to try. I'm going to go to this list first and see if there's anything that I'm in the mood for. If I'm not, then I might move on to other things. But if I am, I'm going to try to tackle some of these for the rest of the year, and we'll see how it goes. I really want to see how many of these I can knock out, and maybe it will help me not have so much to do when I start student teaching or when I have my own classroom in a year. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. That is all I have for you guys today. If you have any advice on where I should start, on if you think there's a certain one of these books that I should read first or bump to the top of my list, let me know in the comments and I will consider it. I like to know what you guys think. If there are certain ones of these that you read in school, then let me know, because that will help me a lot. Like, I want to know which ones are more common, because that will help me decide like if I'm more likely to teach it or not. So that would be great. I hope you guys are all having a lovely Monday, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. Hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks for talking books with me.